Good afternoon. I'm Dara Bunjan. I'm the food enthusiast. If this is your first time tuning in, please feel free to share the show with your friends, whether live, and we will be up on J More Living's Facebook page right after. Initially, our guest was supposed to be Chef Nick Maggieri, and unfortunately, he had to reschedule. So Nick will be on the show Thursday, December 3rd. But coming to my rescue was Chris Franzoni, who is known in the Baltimore area as Eat More Baltimore on Instagram and webpage, and he has over 70,000 followers. So let's bring Chris in. There he is. Can you hear me okay, Chris?
Hey, Dara, I can hear you.
Okay, terrific. So thanks for jumping in. Let me fill people in a little bit more. You started Eat More Baltimore in 2015, but by profession, you are an attorney. Am I correct?
Yes, I am an attorney. I work for the Attorney General for the state of Maryland doing labor and collective bargaining law, which is not nearly as exciting as the the food part of my life.
Right. Well, I think you posted on Instagram, you give yourself the title Eater in Chief of Eat More Baltimore. And the website, people can link into your Instagram, but there are many things on your website. And I know during COVID, you've had a lot of links up there and for people within the hospitality industry to help them to maneuver and get through this terrible time. And I know that they appreciate it. As Eater-in-Chief and 70,000 followers, what kind of advice can you give people who want to get on Instagram, who haven't been? I mean, Instagram has grown. We have stories. We have live.
I think
the floor is yours.
Okay. I think that my best advice is to find your passion. I mean, we all have passions, and to go with that, because the best and easiest way to be successful on Instagram is really to show your authentic self. And if you have a passion for a specific area, whether it be food or fashion, lifestyle, travel, whatever that is, pick that passion and get on and just start talking about it and sharing your photos, because I think that really comes through, and it really helps you to connect with people organically. It's right now it's a little more, and it also depends what your end goal is too. I mean, when I started it, I had a friend in Nashville food fan, who was doing it, and she said, you know what, nobody's really doing this in Baltimore, and she knew that I loved going out to eat and I was posting pictures of food all the time. She's like, why don't you just create your own account? And I said, and I thought, well, it's a good idea, but I also wanted to shed a positive light on Baltimore. And Baltimore has an incredible food scene, a booming food scene, different kinds of, cuisine everywhere, from street food to fancy restaurants. And because Baltimore always gets such a bad rap in the media and in the news, I wanted to use it as a platform to really, bring Baltimore up and to highlight everything great that we have in the city.
You have always had an artistic eye. Your photographs, the staging is amazing, and I think part of that captures it. And people on Instagram and who don't understand hashtags, how important are hashtags? That is like the little pound sign, everybody, the little pound sign. How important are hashtags when you're trying to grow your Instagram account?
Well, they're very important. It's kind of funny. Well, it's not really funny right now, but you've maybe noticed that Instagram in the past few days has taken down the recent hashtag search because of the election, and they're trying to stop the spread of disinformation. So right now, if you go look for hashtags on Instagram, you're only going to see everything or the top hashtags that have been listed, or it might not even be top, it just might be the hashtags. So right now, hashtags are a little bit disabled, which is kind of the focal point of Instagram, and eventually they'll come back. But it really helps you to reach audiences. Say if someone's looking for, a restaurant in Baltimore or just a restaurant anywhere that sells mozzarella sticks or cheese steaks or
Right.
filet or Baltimore, you're looking for that kind of thing, you just type the hashtag in and it comes up. If I'm searching for restaurants in Philadelphia, I can just do hashtag Philly food or Philly restaurants and it comes up. So it's helpful in that regard. But it's also helpful in growth because it exposes you to a lot more people who may not be following you. So I use them in every post. I try to do a little bit of tagging the big accounts, hashtags. I do a little bit of local. I do a little bit of what the photo is because again, Instagram it benefits you to be authentic there as well, and they want your hashtags to match your photo. So there's a lot that goes into it. So it's pretty important.
It's important. It's also time consuming if you're tagging people, and that's the at sign.
Yeah, it's
Um,
very.
very, very. And yet you still do your law work and you do marketing and publicity for restaurants. And I think you're sort of linked in with Collins and Company on some of that. Am I correct?
Yes. Yeah, we started a partnership about 3 years ago, where I helped them with their social media, mostly restaurant and food related. But it's been great. I think it's just, as I said earlier, my lawyer job is great, but this really gives me that creative outlet. And fortunately, Quinn has given me that opportunity to link up and to work together. And I'm like loving it. I'm loving this side of it. Marketing and PR, it's all fun.
It's artistic.
Yes,
There's
right. Yeah.
law is sort of looking up things and rules and regulations, and this is sort of freewheeling. But you
Yeah.
do have a great eye and you have knowledge. I your beautiful townhouse with your partner, Stan, has a beautiful kitchen. But by all the pictures that you're doing on food, do you ever use that gorgeous kitchen?
um, Sometimes if I do carry out, I'll take the food and then do a photo. And it's funny, recently we actually did a big video shoot with Ashish Alfred from Duck Duck Goose, because he's launching a campaign of various cooking videos. So that was fun. So I let other people use it for photos, but I haven't done that yet. But it'll be interesting. This winter's coming up, and I think it's gonna be devastating for a lot of restaurants, and people will be cooking at home. So maybe a point to pivot. So you go into the kitchen and start cooking things and sharing recipes, because we're in this for the long haul at this point, and it should be another way to kind of bring light to people.
Right. Well, there are a number of restaurants that are doing takeaway food.
Yeah.
Uh, Nancy Longo, Pier
Hmm.
Point, La Cochera, and I know there are other ones. And even City Seeds for certain holidays, you can buy boxed food. Let me ask you this. You love food. What foods won't you eat?
What
Is there
foods won't
anything
I eat?
won't you eat?
Um, the one thing that I don't love is fried liver and onions. And my mom loves it. My dad loves it. My grandparents on both sides love it. And I just can't get behind it.
But can you eat pate? Can you eat like a duck pate?
I can. If you upgrade it a little bit. Foie gras and pate, I'm okay with. If you're frying it on the stove, I'll take a pass.
Okay. Um, I'm just looking at my notes here. You have your pulse on what's going on in the restaurant scene here in Baltimore. I know that Cindy Wolf has opened up Cindy Lou. What other new restaurants have opened up recently?
Cindy Lou opened. Monarch recently opened in Harbor East, another French restaurant. Trying to think of some others that are Sally O's, and Mr. Nice Guy Cocktails, which is actually a great spot to go. I'll give them a plug really fast.
Where are they located?
I'm gonna mess this up. It's I want to say Brewers Hill, but it's Brewers Hill Cantonish.
Okay, it's on the
It's on the
border.
corner. Yeah,
It's
it's
on the
right in
border.
there. Amazing cocktails, like some really cool stuff there. A big cocktail menu. Um, Great tasty little bites you can get, and they're also doing. I've been there a couple times recently. The social distancing is great. They have big tables set up, barriers between each table group. I think in the winter they're going to even put heaters out there, and tent it even more. But they also do carry-out cocktails. So if you don't want to sit there, they do these cute little packaged bottles that say Mr. Nice Guy cocktails on them, and it's just really fun. Just something different that nobody else is doing in Baltimore.
Well, that's good. It's to let people know, basically, your family sort of restaurant. Let's talk about that.
Yeah.
Your uncle is Jerry Edwards, Chef Eric
Yes.
Jerry Edwards, Chef's Expression, which is now linked in with your father's restaurant, which is the Manor Tavern. And your brother also works, at least the last time I know, was down in Charleston. He was working in the hospitality industry. Have I missed anybody else from your family that's tied in with food?
Well, other than everyone who just loves to eat it. but that's about it. Yeah. So Jerry's now through Chef's Expressions. It's Chef's Expressions at the Manor, which is going really well. Doing some fun stuff. Working with George in the kitchen to come up with some new creative dishes that'll actually be. I'll do another plug for the Manor Tavern coming out at the end of November. My little brother just moved back up from Charleston a few months ago. He was working, as you said, in the hospitality industry down there. Created the new cocktail menu that launched a few weeks ago, or a few months ago now, I think, and is working on a new winter cocktail menu, again with like really cool stuff. And yeah, it's been a lot, and I'm helping them with the PR and the marketing and all of that stuff. So it's a big family effort.
Right. The Manor Tavern has so much space because I know it. I used to be the catering and banquet sales manager eons ago.
Yes.
But you have a huge tented area where you did things.
Mm-hmm.
You have the patio, you have the garden, you have the other spaces. So there's plenty of room. And I know people have been supporting and coming out and listening to music that they're doing out there as well.
Mm-hmm.
I'm just checking to see for questions.
Yeah, they'll be doing a few more. They're doing, going into the fall, all the restaurants are trying to pivot and figure out what exactly they're going to do. Jerry's brought his, his famous wine suppers to the tavern, and then there's one coming up next week, I think. They're always really fun, pairings for different regions of the world with, his delicious food. The tavern's doing their Thanksgiving dinner again, which is a big annual tradition that a lot of people go to, of course, with social distancing. And right now it's about pivoting.
Right. They can do it as a box to go too from the Manor, can't they? Yes.
Exactly. Yeah, this year they're doing to go as well.
Okay. I keep looking down the notes, and Randy Rom says, if you upgrade liver, she went, wah. I love Randy. They're different. What tips can you give people? Well, let me go back on Instagram.
Yeah.
For a while, and I don't know if it still exists, there were pods.
Mm-hmm.
Do they still exist? Are they worthwhile? People buy followers. It's hard to tell what's real and what's not real.
Yeah, I've never been a fan of the pods. I think when that whole pod thing was starting, I tried it for about 3 days, and it was a lot of work, and it didn't really help. And it also, it gets back to my point a little earlier about being authentic and doing the organic, reaching people organically. Because when you do a pod, I mean, for the people who don't know what a pod is basically, you can do it through an app, or you can do it through direct messages on Instagram, where 10 or however many people you want all get together, and when they post, they go into the group, tell everyone they posted, and everyone in that group is supposed to go and comment, share, save, do all of that stuff. And the ultimate goal of that is to increase the engagement so you show up more on people's feeds. Because Instagram is really about showing you what they think is going to interest you the most. So the more engagement posts you're getting, the more they're going to show it to other people. Of course, it can work to a certain extent, but it reflects on your account. When you look at some of the accounts that are using these pods, you can look through the comments and see, is it all food accounts that are replying on this feed? Is it all fashion bloggers who are posting in response to this other post? So it's a little bit transparent, and I've never been a fan, but it's worked for people. So it's really, if you're comfortable with it and if you like doing it, more power to you. I don't happen to like it, but that's just me.
Well, I find Instagram tedious, but I do it.
Yeah.
And I've stayed pretty steady. I'm content. I got 2,300 followers. That's cool. My demographic is fine, and people are looking. You're shooting for a demographic. Should you be um, gauging your Instagram post in some way towards that demographic? That's a question. Sorry.
So for me, I am trying to reach the broadest audience that I can. And that is whoever wants to follow me, I welcome it. But I try to target it to people who have interests in food, restaurants, hospitality, supporting local is another important one. And you can get a lot of great support in Baltimore for that. But if you're looking to grow, then I think the demographic should be as broad as possible. But again, a lot of people look at your follower numbers as a gauge for how successful you are, and I don't think that that's necessarily a true showing of whether or not you have a successful account. If you're looking to have it for a reason, to grow it and to have exposure at least, because you can have an account with 2,300 followers, and if those 2,300 followers are engaged and follow you and go out to eat at the restaurants as soon as you post that and trust what you're saying, that can be as effective as an account with 70,000 followers where the people aren't interacting and aren't actually going to those places. So I think, I keep saying that, but it's really important to be authentic, because that shows, and your followers will appreciate it and they'll react to it and they'll trust you. If you post somewhere and you give a review, people are going to trust what you're saying. That's why you're the OG foodie in Baltimore.
I have. Thank you. Yeah, at my age, I'm the original gangsta here in Baltimore. Food. Thank you for bringing that up. I have a question for you. People see me looking down. I have the questions come up on the computer because the phone's busy recording this. What have been some of your most popular Baltimore food posts of all time?
The most popular one by far, it just happened a few weeks ago. It was the crab cake egg roll that I posted from AJ's on Hanover, which is my neighborhood. It's my neighborhood restaurant. It's 2 blocks from my house, and we go there, frequently. And I just, I ordered them, took a picture. I was actually debating not posting it because I was like, are people going to like it? Are people not? And, I said, you know what? I'm just going to do it. It's a local restaurant. I want to support it. And it ended up blowing up on Instagram, on Facebook, and on Twitter, which I don't even have a Twitter account, but people just screenshotted it and shared it. And because we can, so on Instagram, we can see analytics on the back end to see who's seeing it. Between Facebook and Instagram, it was viewed over, I think, 1.2 or 1.3 million times.
Wow.
Right. Which was, which is just insane. I would never, never think that I could have exposure like that or give exposure like that to a restaurant. But yeah, crab cake egg rolls by far.
Well, I don't know. It sounds interesting. It was in the neighborhood. I guess I would, give it a try. I'm pretty mundane about a crab cake. There's something about the standard crab cake, but that sounds like fun. Did they offer you, for other egg rolls, you have the hot sauce, you have the sweet and sour. Is that offered with that crab egg roll?
Yeah, that one came with I think it had an Old Bay aioli.
Oh, really? Okay.
That you could drizzle on top of it. Yeah, but it was delicious. And, Maryland, Baltimore loves crab cake. So if I'm looking to get engagement and a successful post, crab cake is the way to go.
Yeah, I understand that. I'm just looking at my notes here. seeing if I'm missing something. We have so much history. I remember when you were first starting out, we went to La Cachera for dinner.
Yes.
And you helped me find something on the phone that I couldn't figure out. And I went, oh, there it is. And I was impressed by you, engaged, and uh, it was a nice little dinner. It was nice connecting with you. So I usually ask a couple questions as we end, but I did want to bring up something that's not food, but it is Movember, isn't it?
It is. And
Can you want to talk to people about Movember?
yeah, so Movember was I did I think it might have been 2 years ago, I did a fundraiser for Movember. And thanks to me now.
I just lost your sound.
You have me now?
Yes, I do.
Okay. It's Movember is a foundation that raises awareness and money for men's health. And the idea behind it is to grow a mustache the entire month. So by the end of November, you have a big stash hanging down. But thanks for the reminder, because I actually have to change my logo to add a mustache to it
Mustache for Movember.
Yeah.
Right, right. So for those men, and that has to do with the different health issues, which could be prostrate, testicular,
Right.
etc.
Colon
Keeping
cancer,
things
prostate cancer, yeah.
right. So men, take care of yourselves, please. We want you screenings. We want you around here a long time. So let's come to the questions. What was your most epic culinary fail?
My most
Something that
epic.
you cooked.
I feel like there could be a lot of them.
Pick out your favorite, the funniest, whatever. And if you can hear, they're cutting my lawn now.
They're cutting mine too. I can't think of a. I mean, I don't know. Nothing. I've never.
Okay, what's the funniest? Okay, let's switch it up.
Yeah.
What is the funniest restaurant incident you've ever dealt with?
Funniest restaurant incident I've ever dealt with. I'm really bad at these questions.
All righty.
Sorry.
That's okay. That's okay. You're just boring. That's all. I'm kidding. I'm kidding. Oh, you're going to love this last question. What question didn't I ask you that I should have?
What question didn't you ask that you should have?
Any last words?
I'm thinking of the funniest. I do have a funny story, and it's not about me, but it involves me. Is that we went down to DC. There's this crazy brunch in DC called La Boom, and now nobody's clearly going to crowded brunches anymore. But it was about you go in and it's about 30 people inside. They shut all the windows. And it's a DJ, and people are, they spray champagne, and everyone gets crazy, and it's like 2 hours where you can't see outside, and everyone's just, basically getting drunk. But we left there and to go to another place, and my friend was so drunk, I wouldn't say his name on here, but he'll know who he is if he sees this, fell down and broke his nose because it was too much. So things are fun. I can be fun. It just ends up in broken bones.
Okay. So, we'll come back to anything else that you'd like to tell or share with people that I didn't bother to ask you think would be important, as to your website, eatmorebaltimore.com, or following you on Instagram, eatmorebaltimore. Anything you care to share before we end the show?
I mean, I think not necessarily about, myself or Eat More Baltimore, but I think just going into the winter, you just have to be very supportive of local restaurants. There are neighbors, there are people in our communities that have, been very supportive to us. And I think just keep them in mind, even though people may not be eating out as much, to take care of them, to order out, to continue to patronize them to the extent that you can, because I really think the next few months are going to be devastating for a lot of them. And we want to keep them around. We're gonna need them. That's where we go and gather. That's where we hang out. We're gonna be able to hang out again. All hope is not lost. It's gonna happen, And we want these people around when we're able to do that, and we want them to be able to survive. Not just for selfish reasons for us to go out, but because they need to survive. They're in our community, so it's important.
Right, they are an important factor to our community, and they support charities and have been doing so, you know, to put they're in the red, still supporting charities, which is what the community always relies on restaurants to do. So if you don't want to go to a restaurant, a lot of them are delivering, a lot of them you can go and pick up, like the boxes we talked about, and definitely support. I appreciate you coming in at the last moment. I hope people have walked away with some knowledge about Instagram a little bit. Can't teach it all in a 20-minute or a 30-minute show. And I thank you so much. So stay safe. A big wah to you and to Stan in best regards. And I just have some notes to wrap up here.
Yes. Well, thank you so much for having me. It was fun. I appreciate it.
Okay.
Stay safe. Bye-bye.
All right. Bye-bye. There will be no show next week. I'm taking it off. I have things that I have to do, so you'll just have to go by 1 week without me. On November 19th, we have Harvey Sugarman, formerly of Harvey's at Green Springs Station, who is now owner of and chocolatier of Sugarman's Little Chocolate Shop in Madrid, New Mexico. Harvey, you know, started off, I remember him from Gerard's and is now in New Mexico. So a lot of fun stories to share there. This show will be up on J More Living's Facebook page. It will be on jmoreliving.com's page in a little while, as well as YouTube. You can reach me on social at Dara Cooks, or write me an email, food@jmoreliving.com. We love it when you share the show. I'm so glad they're cutting them off. I'm sitting here. We love it when you share the show with your friends who will enjoy it, and it helps us grow. As always, we want you to stay safe, wear your mask, and may your plates always remain full. I will see you in 2 weeks. Thanks for joining the Food Enthusiast.